Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
I'm Matt Miller.
And I'm Hannah Elliott, and this is Hot Pursuit.
And we have a very special guest today who you booked, thank you very much, the new CEO of Rolls-Royce.
I'm excited.
I'm really excited. I mean, the outgoing CEO, Torsten Müller-Ottfest, was one of my favorite CEOs, and I mean, I drove my first Ghost with him 10 years ago, and
he was an iconoclast for sure.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how Chris Brownridge is going to follow up in those gigantic footsteps. But also, you are in Zurich.
I'm reporting live and in living color from Zurich, Switzerland.
Tell us about the car that you're there to drive. Can you tell us, or is it embargoed?
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you about driving impressions because that's under embargo, but I came to Switzerland to drive the new Bentley Continental GT, and that is the V8 hybrid version. It's the first hybrid Continental that they've made. So I spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Andermatt, which is an hour and a half from Zurich, up in the mountains, driving all of those great passes that we've seen in, the James Bond movies and all of those iconic shots. So I was driving that V8 hybrid. It's got about 770 horsepower, give or take, 208 miles per hour.
Wait, how much horsepower?
771
Jeez,
BPH.
Louise.
Or BHP, yeah. So do the conversion. I'm always really bad at the conversion. But
I don't care. That's a gigantic number.
I mean, it's a big stomper. And the great thing about it, without talking about how it drives yet, because I'm not allowed, you can tell that it's different from the previous versions because the easiest way to tell is the headlights now have this, they're calling it an eyelash. It's like a straight line that goes through the front headlights it's like a light band, and it does look like an eyelash. It's almost feline. And I'm a fan. I think it looks cool. I always like when companies give us something new that we can sort of easily see, oh, this is the new thing. It's cool. I'm excited. I drove the first edition. There's sort of signature first edition and like a slate gray. Like a very cool, not a darker than a battleship gray, but very cool sort of matte gray color.
So just as an aside, it doesn't really matter, but BHP is brake horsepower. And in order to convert brake horsepower to like American horsepower,
it's weird.
You have to multiply brake horsepower by 0.9863. So basically it is 98.63%. A brake horsepower is 98.63% of a regular horsepower.
It's like almost 1-to-1, but not
exactly.
Quite.
So 771 brake horsepower is 760 horsepower. Obviously, it doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's good. Well, this is good. We want to be sure to get our facts correct. So that's great. 0 to 60 is 3.1 seconds. I can share that. And the review will be out first week in October.
So the torque number is always, for me, more exciting because I like twist and and in a car like this, because it's not only a big inch V8, but also has an electric component, it probably has massive amounts of torque.
I think if I'm remembering right, it's 738 pound-feet of torque. So that'll do it.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really interesting about this time right now at Bentley is Bentley also has a new CEO, Frank Walliser. I think we've talked about this briefly before. Frank was the head of motorsports at Porsche for a long time. So, I think really it's obvious that Bentley is bringing somebody in who can give a little shot of adrenaline to the brand. Someone who's been in motorsport, who's used to developing real sporty vehicles. So I think hopefully that's what we can expect more of.
And we can talk more about this when Chris gets here, but I've always been fascinated by the relationship between Rolls-Royce and Bentley, because for a long time they were under the same roof.
Same company, basically. Yeah.
And today I saw a guy on Fifth Avenue, some banker type of dude, getting out of a Continental, and he I was thinking, oh, that's a sportier guy than who would drive a Rolls-Royce. And that's like the image they want to project, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it'll be interesting to talk to Chris about that. But yeah, definitely to my mind, Rolls-Royce is ultimate luxury. They've got the magic carpet ride. It's all about smooth and silent. And Bentley does have more of the sporty background. Of course, remember the Bentley blowers and the Bentley boys racing 100 years ago. So yeah, that it seems like a natural fit at Bentley. And I think Bentley can really occupy that space. They don't have to fight Rolls-Royce on trying to get superior luxury. Bentley is a luxury brand, of course, but they can chip away more, I think, in the sporty world, the aggressive world, the world that might go up against Porsche or Aston Martin or Ferrari.
So we'll talk about that with Chris. And then speaking of Porsche, I wrote you a letter about my time in the Boxster, in the Cayman.
The subject was, Dear Hannah.
Well, no, I actually wrote you a whole letter. I don't know why. The other day, I got home after I had been driving it, and we had just spoken, and I thought, I don't really write car reviews per se, but I want to tell Hannah all of this stuff. So I wrote like, Dear Hannah on my phone. And I by the time I was done, I was waiting in line for like the seafood guy at the grocery store. And I had written like 1,000 words already. So I was thinking maybe I'll just send Hannah this letter. Anyway, I'm going to definitely post that up somewhere because I have so many thoughts about the Cayman and what it's like now versus what it used to be.
Now, you had the GTS, correct?
Yes, not 4-liter.
4, which might actually be the smarter buy.
For me, it is, right? I'm not a racetrack guy.
For most people.
Right. Well, I don't know. My neighbor, my buddy Eric, who has the BMW M4 GTS, he likes a race car. He likes harsh suspension, He wants to feel every pebble on the road.
For every day?
Well,
for every day.
I took out his car over the weekend and drove it for, 45 minutes. And that thing, my pulse like doubled instantly. I was like sweating, but I was pushing. I was on the edge all the time. I was trying to break the tires free in turns. I was definitely looking out for cops. Like that car, that M4 GTS, which is now it's a thing of the past, but it's like a race car and it makes you want to drive super fast all the time. Whereas the Cayman, the GTS 4.0, I like the sound when I put the gas down, so I do go faster in it, but it's not like I'm ripping it around corners hard,
Right. It's livable, I guess, is what you're saying.
Anyway, I was thinking I'm going to start a website. I don't know if the domain is available, dearhannah.com. And then I'm just going to start writing open letters to you and put it on the website, which will be my car reviews.
That's a really good idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah. The other thing is you're in Zurich, and I love Zurich. I spent a decade of my life living in German-speaking countries, and I would often go there for one reason or another. It's a great town for shopping.
I love it. Oh, I have been shopping. I have been to the store that you recommended. Is it VPE?
VMC.
VMC. So I went there this morning with my husband and we had a great time. We didn't buy anything. I actually in a very weird, I don't know, it must be something I've been drinking, but I saw some very cool men's loafers there that I really wanted to get.
I know they have like a lot of engineers boots and jeans.
Well, I'm not into that. I want this pair of like perfectly brown, crushed up men's loafers. They did not have my size. Apparently they don't make women's sizes. And we did see some other cool things that we didn't want to spend the money on. It's expensive. Zurich's an expensive city.
True.
But very cool store and very friendly. A lot of people working in the shop. It was one of those situations where you're kind of the only one in there, and there are about 20 staff who are just kind of watching you.
And were they all dressed up in there? Because it's kind of costume-ish, if you're wearing all that style. But...
I mean, it's more American than American, it's really funny because, you're walking around this amazing European city, and then you go to the store and it's like, it's more American than American. It's like Ralph Lauren meets, Filson meets Red Wing meets Carhartt. Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
But I did buy some boots at another shop, which was great, and a few other little things. I really like it here. It's cool. It's cool.
I'm a big fan. Also, by the way, the top income tax rate is 15%. That's the most the government will take from your income is 15%, which to me, that seems like a very fair amount,
Yeah, well, that could actually work because I've been told that apartment prices are pretty high here.
Right.
So, if I know that the tax, I may save money on the tax side of things.
No, you won't, because you're American. So unlike other countries, America will tax you no matter where you earn your money. So they're following you and they're going to get their share. So whatever amount is above and beyond that 15% that you owe to the U.S., you still have to pay to the U.S. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that how it was when you lived over here?
Well, I lived in Germany, so the German tax rate is even higher than the American tax rate. Although you get services for it in Germany. And so I didn't have to end up paying any U.S. income tax because of the double taxation treaty. But
okay, well, that's good.
It's still, to me, it seems unfair to take 40% of someone's income. But if you get free health care and you have great job security and childcare. Yeah.
Well, everything's clean. Everything. I can't believe, all of the shops leave the watches and the jewels in the window overnight, no gates pulled down. It's unbelievable. You would never see this. Even on Rodeo Drive, they pull things out of the window and they close the gates, and there's none of that. It's unbelievable. It's like this little paradise. I was already planning my escape, pulling the ripcord and relocating to Zurich.
Yeah.
But we also went to that very cool bar, Kronenhall.
How was it?
Which awesome. Now, I don't need to go again to the restaurant. We ate dinner there and the food was not great, but it's a 100-year-old restaurant, fun to see, but the bar is cool. Quiet, tiny, lots of woods, lots of heavy green and leather, and it was cool. I like it. My kind of place. That
sounds awesome. What about cars? Have you seen any?
No, have not seen.
No nice cars?
That's the one thing. Have not seen. I saw one sort of late model Jag from like 2000. That's the oldest car I've seen. I saw one Saab 900 and literally nothing else. I did see.
That's so weird.
That's it.
I feel like Zurich, it's a banking capital, like Europeans.
Yes, they're smart with how they spend their money.
Yeah, maybe they hide it. They take a lot of public transportation.
I also know a lot of these European cities have regulations about bringing, historic cars into city limits because of the emissions. So it may be that they aren't allowed, which is too bad because there is nary a one. I've walked around this town for 3 days and seen nothing.
Maybe they keep them in Germany because the other thing that Switzerland has is a speed limit. I don't think you're allowed to go faster than 130 kilometers an hour on any of their highways. And of course, as soon as you cross the border to the Autobahn, you can do that.
On the Bentley Drive, I was warned repeatedly to be careful about speeding and the speed cameras. And I mean, really, the road determined your speed anyway, because those roads are so tightly wound. You never really end up going fast. But yeah, pretty cool.
All right. Well, I see Chris Brownridge and his entourage.
Do you really see him
approaching? Yes, I do. So, all right, I'll go bring them into the studio, and then we'll interview Chris. Why don't we start with just your background? How did you get into this? How did you grow up? What drives you to be in this world?
Well, if I think if you'd asked anyone who knows me from being a child, what would he do when he's older? I think the word car would have featured. I was always fascinated by things with four wheels. There are lots of photographs of me in my little dune buggy or at car museums. And as a child, I grew up in Hong Kong. And I remember just seeing all the Rolls-Royces there. This is in the 1970s and 80s, and just being completely amazed by them. So I was fascinated by all things automotive, and I remember reading every car magazine because, of course, in those days there was no internet. So you got that week's magazine, Motor or Autocar or Car Magazine, to find out about what was happening. And I loved it. It always excited me. But I went to college and I studied economics. And when I left, I worked on a grad scheme for Rover Land Rover Group, and I was based in Oxford. And that's where it started. So it's been an amazing journey.
You went to Oxford?
No, I went to Exeter University, but my first job was in Oxford, where the Mini is built today. And that was in the early 90s. And I remember walking through the plant there and just loving it. I've always had a fascination with manufacturing and seeing how cars are built, because it's like ballet. It's like mechanical ballet. And I find the whole logistics side of it fascinating. So for me to do what I'm doing now is really, it's a great responsibility, but it's also a fascination for me. It's a genuine thrill.
That's really cool to hear you describe something in the car world or the car world as mechanical ballet. I have never heard that expression, but it does make sense. I can see that.
Yeah, it's and this is looking at manufacturing in Oxford, and so I've been in automotive now for 30 years. And when I came to Goodwood, where the home of Rolls-Royce is, it's completely different how they make the motor cars there. It's a different sort of ballet. It's more
still a dance.
It's a different sort of dance. It's real craftsmanship. I was genuinely surprised in a very positive way about how much artistry and craftsmanship there is there. And that is one of my missions at Rolls-Royce, is to really show the talent of our people and the story of what really happens. I mean, many of our clients understand it, but I think there are many clients who may not have seen it, and I think that's a real shame.
I was actually just going over some video of Rolls-Royce production, and he was like, "Oh, I want to do this." Piece of a woman who's stitching the Starry Night headliner. And I was thinking, that's something you wouldn't see at any other auto manufacturer. Even the high-end ones just won't have that much handwork being done.
No, I think what you see in Goodwood is special. There are genuine artists and craftspeople at work. Just as a simple example, when you look at a manufacturing facility, the line would move every 30 seconds and the tasks performed are quite repetitive. And Rolls-Royce, it's more like 35 minutes, and everyone who's working there has to be able to do 35 minutes worth of work on everything that we make. So it takes such a long time to train people to stay at Rolls-Royce and to be able to perform what they do. But things like the Starlight headliner, which are handmade, are quite remarkable. But there are so many stories like that. And that was one of the great thrills or journey of discovery that I had when I started, just finding out about what really happens.
It's interesting to me because when we talk to you and we talk to people at the factory, there really is a genuine sense of pride in the craftsmanship. And, there are multiple generations of people who have worked with the company doing these really old world trades and handcrafts. And in a way, there's a lot of humble dignity to it, which is different than the perception that people might have of Rolls-Royce, which is, very expensive, very ostentatious, very just top of the line. It's the Rolls-Royce of whatever. So when you come into the company, obviously you've been at BMW for, I think, 30 years. How are you seeing that balance between what is true within the company of this very humble dignity and the perception, which is that Rolls-Royces are extremely expensive and unattainable?
I think the people that work at Rolls-Royce have a great passion because they love what they do. Many of their roles are unique, and they are very passionate about Rolls-Royce. And it is a great opportunity to have a role. Whatever you do as part of Rolls-Royce, your role is to deliver perfection. And of course, that's something you strive for every day. And I'll give you an example of how committed our employees are. The week before last, I was really privileged to hand over awards to different employees for coming up with new ideas about how to make things better in our business. And last year, in the last 12 months, our employees, of which we have 2,600, came up with 6,000 ideas about how we could improve how we produce our motor cars. And that's quite incredible. That shows that one, they're fascinated by it and they're passionate about it. And and the ideas were so varied, but they all showed one thing in common, which is a passion to really excel at Rolls-Royce. And one of the things, last night I was at an event with some of our clients, and they often come to the home of Rolls-Royce and they meet the people that make the motor cars. And that gives our team such a thrill, because they love to see the appreciation of our clients. And I have to say, coming to Rolls-Royce, one of the outstanding aspects of our business is that we strive to offer our clients the best possible experience, and we interact with them daily. And that marks us out as a house of luxury in terms of our clients talk to us. They talk directly to the people that make the cars. They talk to me. They talk to the design team. And that connection is something which our clients value greatly as well. So not only do our employees enjoy it, but also it's something that our clients get an awful lot of pleasure from too.
It is just interesting, though, that, I mean, it's another thing that separates, I guess, Rolls-Royce employees from a typical car manufacturer employee. Because working at BMW, anyone, even someone who's working on the line, could afford to buy an M3, right? Whereas I don't think you even have a Rolls-Royce. Or do you have one?
I have the privilege of having a Rolls-Royce to use.
But you don't have your own. You didn't already have a Ghost 2 extended wheelbase before they hired you.
No, that is something I would love to have. No, but I understand the point you're making.
Yeah.
But everyone who works at Rolls-Royce is contributing to delivering something quite extraordinary every day, and that's where their pride comes from.
But it's like they're building a boat or a home. It's different than someone who works on a car manufacturing line for the most part.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think the best way of describing it is that every Rolls-Royce is a masterpiece. It's a work of art, and it's highly bespoke for an individual client. And the client gets a lot of pleasure from that, and we get a lot of pleasure in creating that for our clients as well. So there's a huge bond. There's a huge bond between our people and our clients and what we do. It's really quite special.
Chris, as the new guy coming in, where do you see the big growth opportunities for Rolls-Royce? I know it's astounding every time, when I see the figure that the average age of your owner is in the 40s, and the average price of a Rolls-Royce is above 500,000 euros. Can these numbers continue to increase indefinitely, to your mind? And where's the growth coming from?
Sure. So one of the keys to our success is to, one, rarity, and secondly, everything we make is a bespoke luxury good for our clients. Not just what we make, but the experience that we deliver. Our mission is really to create value for our clients and also value for our shareholder, which is the BMW Group. And we'll do that through creating these masterpieces. So we don't measure our success in terms of how many, it's more what we do and what we achieve. And the trends that I'm seeing right now are that our clients are really seeking more creativity and more connection with their Rolls-Royce, and more ambition in terms of how particular the car is for them. And that represents a great opportunity for creativity, and that's why we're opening our private offices, which we've just opening one in New York. And also it means that we have to change our business so that we've got more space and capacity for those projects. But that's where I see our opportunity. For me, it's really exciting to close the gap between what people perceive Rolls-Royce to be and what it really, really is, and also to be able to deliver those ambitious and highly creative projects for our clients. And there is really no limit to the possibilities, and that's quite thrilling when you think about it. And if you're someone who's got a real passion for all things automotive, it's quite a thrill to be leading that.
So you're not going to obviously be making more. You're not after volume in terms of Rolls-Royce. I guess you sell 6,000 or 7,000, and that's the limit. But you're going to make more complicated or more creative and probably higher price tags on those Rolls-Royces?
So in terms of the number that we make, we will only build a Rolls-Royce if it's something that someone's asked us to build. And I think that's that underpins our success. Scarcity is very, very important. But I'm sure you would have seen some of the wonderful projects the team have delivered in our coach build motor cars, where that's probably the most extreme. It's the sort of haute couture of automotive, where we'll work with a client over a period of as much as 4 years to create a genuine masterpiece. And they will be involved in the whole process from start to finish, the design of the car at a very profound level. And those projects are delivering something completely unique. It's a unique experience for our clients. It's a unique experience for our teams. And what we create is almost a piece of history for Rolls-Royce. So it's projects like that which I think are particularly fascinating for our business. And certainly our goal will be to deliver more projects like that.
What is the policy when a potential client would like to build something or spec something that isn't necessarily in good taste, that may even like not reflect well on Rolls-Royce? How do you gently take them by the hand and suggest an alternative, or do you ever just say no?
Sure, that's a great question. Ultimately, our business is client-centric. We want to deliver a great experience for our clients in the whole process of engaging with Rolls-Royce and also producing their motor car, and the whole experience of being within what I call the Rolls-Royce family. And our clients' tastes and preferences are very diverse, but of course what's suitable on one corner of the globe is very different to what's suitable in another. And I have to say, in the time I've been at Rolls-Royce, and I try and walk down the line at least 2 or 3 times a week, everything I've seen I find enthralling. So I can't imagine a situation where a client would want to build something that we wouldn't want to build. And whilst they can be very diverse, I think that's what makes it very exciting as well. No 2 Rolls-Royces are the same, and that will always be the case.
In terms of horsepower and torque, this is something that every car maker talks about when they come out with a product. Is it still a 6.75 liter 12-cylinder engine? That's
right. So our combustion engine is a V12, and it's a 6.75 litre engine with 2 turbochargers. And that delivers a very strong engine with incredible smoothness, refinement, but also torque. But also this year we've launched our first Rolls-Royce, which is using an electric powertrain with Spectre. And this has been a great success for us because the silence of electrification with the huge power and refinement really makes a Rolls-Royce even more like a Rolls-Royce. And I was with some clients last night who have Spectre, and they were eulogizing about how thrilled they are about the way the car drives. And that excites me because as we move into different powertrains, it shows for Rolls-Royce we always have a perfect solution, which is great news for our clients.
How has it been rolling out Spectre this year when EV sales across the board have cooled slightly, and it seems like every automaker is pivoting away or readjusting targets related to EVs? How has that been for Rolls-Royce, and what is your commitment now to electrification moving forward?
Sure. Well, I'll start with our experience so far with Spectre. So we launched the car this year, and the level of demand has exceeded our expectations. What we know from our clients is that they are bowled over by the experience of the Rolls-Royce Spectre. It's a beautiful 2-door coupe. It has a drivetrain which is perfect for Rolls-Royce. Its performance is extraordinary, and also the motor car itself is extremely, I would say, very beautiful, and a great palette for Bespoke. So in terms of our experience with our clients, it's been extremely positive, and all of the media coverage has said this is a perfect Rolls-Royce, and that that fills me with confidence, because as the world moves to electrification, it means that we can offer a perfect solution for a Rolls-Royce. How the speed of that change happens, it may vary depending on the circumstances in the different corners of the world. But what I can see is that for Rolls-Royce, we have a great solution. We'll always offer the right powertrain for our clients.
I don't want to ruin our relationship having just met, but for me, it won't be perfect if I have to charge it up, right? Because there's so many situations I've been in where I can't find a charger or it's not charging fast enough. As Hannah knows, I'm a huge fan of the hybrid.
We've both been traumatized.
Yes, we've both been.
Yeah.
Whereas, if I had a Spectre, it's a $500,000 car, so I guess I would have someone charge it for me. But I would love to have a hybrid. Do you have any plans for a hybrid powertrain? The V12 is excellent, but I guess you could add some boost with a battery.
Sure. I think with regards to charging, if we consider our clients typically have access to good charging solutions. And over time, the charging network in different regions will mature as well. And so I think that's a barrier that will disappear. But what they are enjoying with Spectre is the whole driving experience. So in terms of future powertrain options, what we'll never do is compromise for Rolls-Royce. And that's important to me, that we don't compromise. What I wouldn't want to do is put in place a powertrain which doesn't deliver the values that you'd expect of a Rolls-Royce.
How happy are you with the product mix at Rolls-Royce? The SUV, the sedans, and the coupe. Is that a happy product mix for you, or do you foresee any new models being introduced?
Well, I would be reticent to give away our future product plans, although I am very excited about them.
You can just tell us. Don't worry. Don't tell anybody.
That's an enticing option, but I'll avoid that.
Maybe in the television interview.
Yeah, I'd save that.
When you're on TV. Yeah, because I want to break news on my show. Hannah, let's get into the cars that you...
Wait! Yeah? Don't let him off the hook. He's going to answer.
Oh, you're going to tell us?
Of course. So one of the great things about Rolls-Royce, one of the many great things, is our manufacturing facility is completely flexible. So we can build whatever our clients want from us. And so you talked about, am I happy with the mix of what we sell? Yes, I am, because it's what our clients want. But most recently, we announced the Series 2 of the Cullinan, which is a motor car we launched in 2018. And normally with a motor car, you launch it grows, and then over time the demand drops. But with Cullinan, it's grown every year. And it shows that this is a motor car that our clients really love, because it's a real Rolls-Royce, but also it's a Rolls-Royce they can use every day. And so that's our most demanded product. But in terms of our other models, there's a pretty even demand across the range. But as I say, we can respond to any condition, and that's one of our great assets.
That's what I want to kind of focus on is the new private office that you've opened here in New York.
Yes.
Because this gives you the ability to go deeper than even you would in, say, like a bespoke showroom.
Sure.
Right? You can actually spend time working with clients who have, I don't want to say demands, but needs that go beyond what a typical manufacturer can. So this is going to allow you to really do some serious customization. Is that right?
Absolutely. What we've seen in the last few years is the level of demand from our clients for increasingly complicated and personal commissions is accelerating rapidly, and in order to do that, our dealer network do a fantastic job with our clients. But for some of our clients, they need more than that, and so our dealers can work with our private office network, of which we're just opening one in New York, and we'll open one in Seoul later this year. We already have Shanghai and Dubai, and there's one in Goodwood. And this is where a client can spend time with a member of the design team, so someone who can really stretch the possibilities or break the rules, as I would say. And we know that this is an area where our clients really are fascinated, and the opportunity to talk directly to the design team really opens up lots of new possibilities for them. But of course, not every client can come to Goodwood. So what we thought we would do is bring Goodwood to New York. So we've effectively brought a little bit of the Rolls-Royce home to a place where we know a lot of our clients are. And so that's why we have the private office in New York, which we're literally opening as we speak.
You mentioned New York, Goodwood, Seoul, and I think there was Dubai.
Dubai, that's right.
Is it fair to assess that those are your biggest markets?
And Shanghai, did you say Shanghai as well?
That's right. And so what we've done is we've opened these private offices. So we have a network of private offices, and we've opened them where there's a real concentration of our clients. And of course, even in New York, for some of our clients, that's a drive or a short flight, but it's a lot easier to access perhaps than Goodwood. But I think what we want to do is make sure that we can be close to our clients, but also create a space where they can feel at home and really spend time exploring the possibilities of a bespoke Rolls-Royce. Because the whole experience of going through that is something not to rush, because the possibilities are extraordinary. And that's why you may well have seen at the Quail this year, we revealed a very special private collection car. And we produce these cars from time to time to showcase possibilities of bespoke, to show techniques or innovate new techniques. And typically these motor cars they're sold before we talk about them. But that's not really the purpose. The purpose is really to inspire our clients as to what they could do for themselves. And often they stimulate discussions, and that's what these private offices are designed for.
And these cars are 7-figure cars, correct?
What's the most expensive one?
These cars
I'll ask the vulgar question.
Yeah.
The vulgar question. We as you will know, we never talk about the price of things, but obviously there are prices reported in the media. But for our clients, it's the experience and the uniqueness which they're fascinated by, and that's what we strive to be able to exceed their expectations on.
So Matt, he didn't say no. He didn't say no.
I didn't say yes.
So here's my follow-up. Two follow-ups, and I don't know how we're doing with time, but I'm just going to dive in. How often are the people, when they're creating these cars over 2 and 3 and 4 years, I have to imagine they're changing their minds all the time, because everything changes in a month. So are you is it the type of thing where the longer you spend on a project, the longer it's going to take, simply because as time passes, people change what they want?
Typically, in these projects, the decisions do take quite a long time, and our clients are particularly discerning. I'll give an example. There was one client who he knew exactly what he wanted in terms of the color and the finish of the car, but in terms of the particular type of wood and the color of the wood on a large panel within the car, he lived with samples of wood in his office for 6 months before he said, "That's the one I want." And that's the joy of the process. It's a real profound and deep engagement with our clients, and what comes out at the end of the process is something which is truly unique for them. It really is a work of art, and so it's not something we'd ever want to rush our clients on, but it's a collaborative process.
Could you choose various hides? I'm a big fan of horsehide, which was common in the early 20th century, but no longer. Still, I have jackets and boots made with it all the time. You have a famous leather supplier in Scotland, right? I think Hannah has written a piece about it.
Sure.
Bridge of Weir.
But that's cow leather, right? Could I say, listen, I want a horse hide interior?
Well, Matt, I'm delighted to say that if that's what you wanted to have, we could discuss it, and I'm sure we could come up with the perfect project for you. In the history of Rolls-Royce and what we produce today, the limits, there are no limits. So there are so many wonderful examples of where a client has come to us and said, I want to have a motor car that celebrates this topic, or something as a gift for my family, and our teams will then want to meet the client and talk to you, Matt, about your preference for a particular type of leather, and then come up with different creative ideas. When I started at Rolls-Royce, as part of my induction, I was going through the bespoke area, and the team were learning a particular technique using a very specialized type of gilt paint. And I asked them, "What are you doing? What is this, a commission?" They said, "No, it's not a commission. But a client has asked about, they've given us a brief, and we think if we could learn to do this, we could do something really spectacular for them. And so the people that are involved in actually creating the motor car are involved in the design process as well. And I think that's really rather lovely. Cool. So in answer to your question, when you're ready to talk, we've got a wonderful private office in the Meatpacking District, and we would love to invite you there, and we can talk about your special leather.
Can anybody just walk into the private office, or do you have to make an appointment, or do you have to show a bank statement?
I should hope not.
The private office is something that is in place that we offer our dealers to work with our clients to bring them there. So when one of our dealers has a client who's he knows has a more demanding commission, that's how that engagement.
It's not a showroom. You're not going to have cars in the window and.
No, we already have an amazing network of partners who've got fantastic facilities, and they already are able to work with our clients to put together their perfect Rolls-Royces. But as I said, what we're finding is that more and more frequently clients are wanting to elevate that beyond the classical specification of a Rolls-Royce, and that's when the dealer would work with us with the private office. Effectively, it's like a creative accelerator. It's like an outposting of Goodwood where we can really collaborate with the client to create exactly what they want.
Now can we talk about other cars?
I have one more question relating to this.
Hannah's always breaking the news here.
Okay,
I feel like
let's do it.
Yeah,
let's hear it.
Okay. My other question, and I've been talking with other automakers, talking about the upcoming election, and not just in the U.S. India's got an election coming up. There are a lot of countries that have within the next year or two big elections. How closely are your clients watching the U.S. election and possibly, waiting to see how it goes before they decide to put money down on a car? Are your clients really taking into account this uncertainty, or does it not necessarily affect their buying thought process?
Well, that's a great question, and it's one that I can't really answer because I mean, every client is so different, and I'm sure they'll have different considerations. But certainly what we're seeing right now, particularly in North America, is that there's a really strong demand for Rolls-Royce, and also there's a strengthening demand for these bespoke projects. So based on what I can see, I don't see any holding off, but it's very hard for me to tell.
I was just going to say, money aside, it's an appearance thing. It's a tone thing,
Sure.
My sense too is maybe people think, well, it wouldn't be correct for me to be seen purchasing this new lovely vehicle potentially in an unstable or uncertain time.
I guess from our perspective, in terms of the demand that we're seeing, it's matching our expectations. So we're not seeing any clear evidence of that. And going back to your question about China, what we're seeing, the environment in China is tougher at the moment. Although Rolls-Royce is a business which it's a global, it's a very famous brand, and we have clients all over the world. And there's ups and downs in all regions of the world. And the great news is our business is very evenly spread. So we're feeling very resilient at the moment, and our business is in a very strong position. So we see China as a strategically important region for us, and we'll continue to invest there. We've opened a private office there, and we're seeing some fantastic commissions coming through our clients as well, some really very creative requests. So yeah, I think that, as I say, there are always ups and downs, but that's the beauty of the Rolls-Royce business, is that we respond to our clients, their demand, and also with our amazing flexible production facility.
You can't tell us about the weirdest request you've gotten, can you?
I can't. I can't think of a weird request, but
has no one ever said, like, I want leopard skin on the seats? Or
it's not unusual for a client to say, look, I want you to match the color of my dog's eyes, or here's a piece of clothing. I want the car to be this color, and that's the wonderful thing. That's what really excites our team, is that these requests, but being able to not only meet the expectation of the client, but also exceed it. That's what really thrills us. And based on the feedback that I've had the privilege of receiving from our clients, we do it every day.
Everybody always gets one or two colors on the exterior. Have you ever had anyone say, I want you to paint like Michelangelo's whatever on the exterior of the car?
We've had, and we have delivered the most extraordinary commissions for our clients, not just different colours, but different finishes or examples of cars which depict imagery. And there's no limit to the possibilities of our exterior surface team. They can do anything. And that's amazing. You see the most fabulous creations coming down our production line in Goodwood.
We kind of done this backwards because I want to go back to your experience in college, and you mentioned minis and what you started to drive, and then what you got to drive at BMW. I imagine you've had some awesome cars. Yes,
as I said, I've always loved cars from an early age. My first car was a Mini, which I bought, which had holes in the floor, and I restored it. And I've always
an original Mini.
Yeah, it was a 1978 Mini. It was £250. It was a magnificent.
What color?
It was black, but it became red with a white roof, of course. But I've always loved motor cars, and I've had the privilege in the many roles I've had of driving all sorts of them, and I have a real passion for them, whether they're old or new. I enjoy Rolls-Royces. I love the heritage of Rolls-Royce. The other weekend, I was at the Goodwood Revival, and which is a wonderful event. And I had the experience of going around in the Course car, which was a 1961 Silver Cloud Mark II open-top four-door saloon, and it was the most beautiful motor car. And it's cars like that I just love the craftsmanship and the storytelling and the design behind them. So yeah, I've always had a great passion for.
Hannah has a couple of Rolls-Royces.
I know some fabulous cars. How's it going?
I've got a couple, and I've got my eye on a couple more. It's really starting to be a sickness because I love them. I think they make you feel like $1 million.
I think the experience of riding in a Rolls-Royce it makes the journey, the event itself, and that's what makes them.
Which
really
ones
special.
do you have, Hannah?
I have
with Magnus.
The silver. I personally have a Silver Shadow 1975 long wheelbase in olive green, and then Magnus as a two-door Shadow coupe 1969. Park Ward.
Park Ward. Lovely.
Exactly. And then we just got a Silver Spur, which is the long wheelbase too of the Silver Spirit.
That's
I
right.
believe.
Yep. Spirit. Yeah.
I remember right. 85. So that's the current batch. And then of course we have our eye on some Camargues and a couple other random ones.
I like the Camargue. I like the Camargue a lot.
They're beautiful cars.
Me too.
And that's the wonderful
and then
thing.
Farina.
There's such great heritage with Rolls-Royce, from the very early cars through to the more modern cars. For me, the two-door Phantom Coupe, I think that's an absolutely beautiful car.
Love.
So yeah, I mean and that's another thrill for me. So whilst this is a business and our job is to create value for our clients and our shareholder and be consistent with the Rolls-Royce brand, it's a passion for me as well. I absolutely love working at Rolls-Royce and working with the people that I work with.
I've always wanted to buy a Bentley from kind of the Rolls-Royce era, or I'd be happy also with a Rolls-Royce from the same era. I'm worried about the maintenance costs, right? Hannah always tells me not to worry about it. You haven't had any problems, right? No, you never had a $25,000 surprise.
Knock on wood. No, I mean, look, there's that famous saying, there's nothing more expensive than a cheap Rolls-Royce. And that's probably not without some truth behind it, but knock on wood, I drive mine almost every day to the office.
Maybe I'll pull the trigger.
I think it's time. It's time. And so why don't you do that now, Matt, and then come to the private office and we can talk about the horsehair leather and we can,
a new one. No, I'm talking about getting a Camargue.
Listening.
That's more
We've been taking notes, Matt.
That's more my speed. All right, let's get to BMWs, because you must have had some awesome cars from that experience. And I know a lot of guys who work there, and they are car nuts, and a lot of them motorcyclists as well. So what have been your favorite other brand of cars that you've had the privilege to drive?
Well, I've had the real privilege of driving pretty much everything, and in previous life, when I was working in product strategy for BMW, that was another great time in my career where it's just fascinating when you're involved in a product project. And that's what I love about my role today in Rolls-Royce. Last week I was in the design studio working on the design of a future car, and then I'm working on the plant extension, and then I'm working on the interior with the team, and it's just so fascinating. So could I name a particular car? No, but what I can say is the cars that I remember are those that give you the experience that is special. So it's how it drives or how it makes you feel when you drive it. In my garage at home I have a 1950s MGA, which is just a beautiful design, and when you drive it, it's just a wonderful thing. And also the reaction you get when you drive a motor car like that is great. And so there isn't one that stands out, probably because there are so many standout moments, but for me it's the experience of the different cars of different eras.
We're not going to get into talk about like a 3.0 CSL or the M cars.
Well, I mean, I've driven them all and had them all, and they're just fantastic cars. I remember, when I was how old was I? Maybe 28. My company car was an E46 M3 manual.
Love it.
And
love it.
I mean, you look back and think, God, that was. I mean, the car was cool. Maybe
to me, it's the best generation.
Well, it was a wonderful, individual throttle butterflies, fantastic engine, and it was just what's wonderful. And my favorite car in my previous job was always an M5 competition, because that was the everything car. It was the family car. It was thrilling to drive, and it did everything. And so yeah, as I say, I can love anything with four wheels, as Mrs. Brownridge will tell you.
And I don't hear you saying it has to have a manual transmission.
Well, it depends on the.
So you can love anything.
It depends on the motor car. I think that for me, the granular experience of a manual transmission, particularly if it's a sporting car, it really suits it. But for example, the Silver Cloud 2 that I went round the Goodwood circuit on recently, that I could not believe the silky smoothness. The engine was silent and the gearbox was so smooth. It really was remarkable. It made me go back to the internet and spend far too long looking to think, maybe I could fit one of those in my garage, because they were such magnificent things. It's the engineering that also fascinates me, how well those things were done, and the design details, like the rear windows of that car, because it's a convertible but with four doors. When the glass goes down, it actually folds forwards into the door, and it's just so, when you see it happen for the first time, it really surprises you. So it's all those small details that I love.
By the way, so I've always loved the Ghost. As I said, I drove one with Torsten in 2014 and was my favorite car it is still probably my favorite car of all time. And is it possible if I came down to the private office and I said, look, I'll give you guys $1 million if you'll put a manual transmission in this car? Is that kind of thing even possible, or is that going too far?
Well, nothing's ever going too far. No one's ever asked that question either. I don't know what.
That's crazy.
I think if you think about a typical Rolls-Royce experience, a manual transmission may be something which is quite unusual.
True.
True. So I don't know whether we would do that, but when we have our appointment, we can discuss it.
Okay. All right.
That's a great answer.
I'm going to go down there. All right, Chris, great spending some time with you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's great. Great to see you too as well.
All right, so that was Chris Brownridge, very, very on brand. Did you notice I was trying to get him to talk about other brands, and he was like, well, no particular car, but
he's
like
very
Rolls-Royce.
focused.
Yeah.
He knows his duty.
Which is how it's supposed to be. I'm actually going to go down to check out the private office tomorrow, because they have like an event.
Oh, good. Good. Well, we're going to want a full report when you get back.
I won't be ordering a car, obviously.
Well, that's what you say now.
By the way, we had some really good emails, so I want to go through a couple of them. If you want to write to us, you can email us at hotpursuit@bloomberg.net, and many people do.
Yeah. And we do see and read and respond to your emails as best we can. Well,
and we had one guy who wrote in and was talking about some of the cool cars that he's had throughout his life. He had a Rolls-Royce Bentley to cloud conversion, which I think is fascinating.
See, I've been in the mountains. I haven't.
You haven't checked it?
Checked my email in a few days. So
he had some
about this.
Awesome cars. So starting with a 1972 Camaro SS350, which already, like, you had me at Camaro. And then he had a Rolls-Royce, a Bentley to cloud conversion shipped over from England. He had a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. He had a BMW 2002 TII. My dad had a 2002. A couple of Thunderbirds, Mustang California convertible. a VW camper, a few Peugeots. Anyway, he's looking for a new, also he's a deadhead. So I feel like I really have to do something for this guy.
He's a very eclectic person.
He wants a car that he can drive around the California highways without worrying about stuff. And he's interested in the Super Cruise functionality that Cadillac has. And I happen to be driving, as we mentioned last week, a CT5 premium luxury, which I'm going to pick up this evening.
At your service.
And so I'm going to drive it around and report back to Andrew, who wrote in, and A, thank you for your email. B, you've had some amazing cars. And C, I can't wait to do this little deed for you.
We're here to serve. We do what we can, right?
Yeah. So that's one. The other thing is I got an email. By the way, Polaris invited me to the Baja 1000 to embed with the Polaris factory racing team and get an inside look at the preparation it takes to compete.
That would be very fun for you.
That would be bucket list, right? I've never been to one of those big races.
I think you got to get out of this whole TV commitment thing. I think it's really putting It's really putting a damper on your car life, because this whole TV side job that you have, I don't know why you even bother.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Putting a damper on your travel schedule.
I can't leave the studio. Also, I can't leave my wife at home with these two new babies.
Yeah, I hope really that she gets a trip by herself. Like something nice.
I should send her to the Baja 1000.
Does she want to do that?
I don't think so.
I mean,
maybe she's a huge race fan.
She loves.
No. If I told her she could go to the MotoGP, she would be out.
She may like to go to the Rebel Rally, which is the 10-day rally through Death Valley. That's also a great one, coming up in October.
All right, I'll ask her about that. We got an email from somebody who was listening about the Klipsch. So Klipsch is the sound system that was in the Infiniti QX80 that was amazing.
That you loved.
It was very good. And I expected no less, because when I was a kid, my friend, his dad had these Klipsch reference speakers that were insane. Someone wrote, and because I guess I said it was a German company. I assume Klipsch, Klipsch. He says, no, it's an American company founded in Hope, Arkansas. The founder was Paul Klipsch, Paul W. Klipsch.
Okay. Well, duly noted, and thank you.
Thank you for the email.
This is great to know.
Yeah. The email address is hotpursuit@bloomberg.net. Shoot us an email, and I get a lot of emails, Hannah, that are like BAT links, like, hey, check out this auction.
Is that why you sent me that terrible one today?
Yes.
Were you passing it on from something somebody else had sent?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what? I mean, I'm trying to enjoy a quiet cocktail in a lovely James Bond style Zurich bar, and I'm getting a text about something on Bring a Trailer, and I'm like, what is this?
It's a Factory 5 Mark IV Cobra that's been converted to electric, which is already, I feel like it's a sin, but everybody in the comments is saying, like, this is what Cobras are all about, lightweight and high performance.
Oh, God.
But also it has a 5-speed Tremec. I don't understand how that works. Like, I would definitely want someone to email me if you know how an electric converted car works through a 5-speed Tremec manual transmission. Please explain how that's going to work.
Can you see my eyebrows won't go up anymore?
Yeah.
They already are for how skeptical I am.
It sounds pretty bad. But I'm glad it's a manual.
But we love the links. I mean, thanks for letting us know.
Yes.
We love the link.
And Peter, by the way, regular listener, messaged us about a Volvo wagon. Huge fan. That was my first car ever. A 1984 baby blue Volvo 240 DL. But this wagon is a manual with 170,000 miles, and it sold for $20,000. That's a pretty high price.
A manual Volvo wagon.
A 1992 240 wagon, yeah.
For $20,000 on Bring a Trailer?
It looks nice.
That's actually more than I would have anticipated.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Wow.
It's
maybe there's
I think, a hot car. The wheels, it looks like it has BBS rims.
I don't know if I would have used the word hot to describe a Volvo wagon, but some people like dad bods. Some people like Volvo wagon. It's sure. I mean, I'm not gonna come down on your kink at all.
Wow. All right. So definitely shoot us an email if you have any ideas or if you want to point out any interesting vehicles. Hannah, what are your plans now? Are you going to stay in Zurich? Are you not coming back?
I'm not coming back. I'm sending for the dog, and I'll be residing here now by the lake. Actually, I'll be back in LA on Thursday. I did take a couple days off for a little holiday since I've been here. So I'll be back in LA grinding away on Thursday. And yeah, I think I've got some cars coming up that we can talk about to drive. But yeah, I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. What about you?
Well, I have my brother's bachelor party this weekend. So I'll be driving the Cadillac up there, which is a good reason for me to use Super Cruise because it's
Where is it?
We're going to go up to the Gunks in New Paltz. We're going to do some climbing for a day. Then we're going to go out to dinner.
You mean like rock climbing?
Yeah, rock climbing.
Okay.
But bachelor party style rock climbing. Dinner for the boys in Rhinebeck. And then we're going to go shooting at San Donono, which is the oldest shooting preserve in America in Millbrook, New York.
Wow, that'll be fun.
A good sporting bachelor party with...
How many of you are going?
5 guys.
Okay, that's cool. That's a small group. It's manageable.
Yeah, we're older.
We hope you come back in one piece.
So I guess that's it then for us today, huh?
Yeah, have fun. That was a good one.
I'm glad you got me the great guest for my show tomorrow, and we were able to... Now I'm going to go down and buy a Rolls-Royce, so...
Can't wait to see what you pick out.
Join us again, same time, same place next week. I'm Matt Miller.
And I'm Hannah Elliott, and this is Bloomberg.